And now, ladies and gentlemen, the exciting conclusion to overclocking and adding 2 expansion boards to your Tandy 1000 RLX computer. Alrighty, well, first things first, we got to remove the old 40 megahertz crystal off of here and replace it. To do that, you have to desolder it, so you're going to need some solder wick. That will remove the solder, and you'll also need a soldering iron. I'm assuming you already know how to do that. This is a 50 megahertz crystal. This will boot you up to about 12 megahertz, the fastest you can install. You can overclock this guy, but you can pick these up on eBay. They're rather cheap, and you're going to need a socket. Ta-da! That way you can, let's say if you want to go back to the 40 megahertz crystal, you can, which would be 10 megahertz, but we're going to be running this puppy at 12 megahertz. We could risk blowing a hole in the space-time continuum doing this and go to ludicrous speed. But anyways, all right, so I'm now removing the solder from the 4 solder joints that attach the old crystal. Yank that bugger out with a chainsaw. So now we can go ahead and put that socket in there. There's a spot right there. Oh. And let's get tools. Alrighty. That's just showing the underside of the board. And put the crystal onto them things. Okay, let's pop the connector in the circuit board here. Just like that. Oh, and we got to solder it in there without burning your fingers. At first, I'm going to go ahead and tack that in there. Tack, tack. Pretty tacky, huh? And then we'll go and solder it for real. The reason why we tack it is just to hold in place for when you solder it. Now, this will be now the permanent bond until you're desoldered at some point if you ever want to. Yeah, easy peasy. Then we'll go ahead and install the crystal into the socket, noting the pin 1 location, by the way. There is a dot on the circuit board that shows that. And that's that. And this will be a 12 megahertz processor now. Woohoo! Overclock. So I just showed you the wire wrap that will be attaching this to. You can get that stuff off. There's a lot of places you can get that. But I'm going to make a note. You see, I'm kind of pointing this out here. Making a note where all those wire attachments are going to go. Because you don't need to actually do them all. Because there's some that aren't used. And this is the only thing I'm ever going to plug into here. So I'm not actually going to wire every single connection up. I'm just going to wire up what's used. And here I'm just simply using the wire wrap tool to attach it to the leg. And cut off the excess. Just like that. I don't know why it takes me an hour to cut that one. Alright, so I cut that off. And I'm going to... what did I do here? The audio is messed up. That's why I'm kind of dictating this right now. I'm going to remove the solder a little bit off of each one of these legs, off that ISA connector, just so it gives me a little bit extra lead that I can get the wire wrap to bite onto the lead that's sticking through the board on that connector. I couldn't get it to... You can't actually wire wrap that because there's not enough lead there on the circuit board. So I got like maybe 2 or 3 spins out of it. So it's just holding it there, and then I just soldered into place, just like that. And it just gave me a little bit more mechanical strength to just go ahead and wire wrap it. Start to wire wrap on the circuit board, but best I can kind of describe it. Sorry. And we're just gonna work through and just using like one wire at a time. And I'll just continue doing this wire wrap to the ISA connector, and then solder it to the circuit board, you know, just one at a time, making my way through, and just being really careful. I'll kind of show some photos here, composite here, to see how it's wired. See that? Just 1-to-1, just the way that it's wired to the circuit board. You wire it to the ISA connector. You're just putting everything in, I guess the word is parallel. So you kind of see there. Looks kind of neat, huh? It's measured it. I just lucked out. It was just long enough to kind of stretch it. I wanted to keep the wires as short as possible to cut down on any type of feedback or noise. Alrighty, here is the big moment of truth. So I have the connector wire wrapped up and soldered. Showed you that earlier in the video, and I wrapped it around, and I'll take a picture of that later. I found a way to kind of get it to wrap around and over and sit on top of the sound card like that. And once we get it in the RLX case, it'll look better. It's just an extra RLX power supply I had laying around, and I have not tried this yet, so this is the big moment to see if it'll boot. The way it sits, this is kind of how it's going to go inside the RLX. This is how it's going to go inside the case. So let's power it up, see what happens.
What the hell was that?
Oh, it's alive. F1 key. It's going to see if it'll boot. Starting MS-DOS. Holy moly. Hey, let's just go to desktop. Why not? Deskmate, I mean. Hey. Well, that's actually pretty good news. So it booted with it wire wrapped. I'll show you the picture here. It'll pop up. We'll just get this put together and put it in the case. And this is great news. It's took me about, I'd say, 2 hours total, maybe, to get the wire wrap in there. It's kind of like knitting. If you sit down, you're watching TV, one wire at a time, and work your way through it. I'm sure I'll have to put it out there to the folks at maybe the Low Tech and other places to say, hey, if you guys want to make a card to do this, it looks like it will work. How great is that? Woohoo! So I got everything back in the case and screwed down, tightened up, and I added a heatsink to the microprocessor because it was getting warm, and I'm overdriving it with a 50 megahertz CMOS crystal, and that'll take it up to about 12 megahertz. That's about the fastest you can overdrive this particular version. Is 12 megahertz. I haven't had any success with 60, 70, 80, or even 100 megahertz crystals, but it tops out at 12 megahertz for this type of RLX. If you get the other RLX, which is I think I went the B version, which doesn't have this board here, those ones will run up to 15 megahertz using a 60, I believe it's a 60 megahertz CMOS crystal. So hey, so this is what I have. You can see the sound card is installed. I have access to it. I've plugged in a larger speaker to it. See this? Oh, so you get a little bit better sound out of it. And I know it looks kind of messy, but you know, I just kind of was slapping this together and have this sitting on, you know, this board sitting on top of this board. I have some cardboard on there so it doesn't short out. I taped it to it, and I got some magic foam on the bottom of this so this doesn't short out onto this. And then I'll put this in the case, and I have the foam so when I put the case on, it'll kind of just squish it just a little bit, and so it won't go anywhere, it won't fall down, and I think that'll be good enough for now. The official RLX case. Okay, here we go. Slide that on in like that. Voila. Put my keyboard up here. Fire in the hole! Starting MS-DOS. Let's boot her up in DOS. Number 3. Okay, and we're going to do a different one. I did Star Trek last time. I'm going to do Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. So CD TOWERS Towers. There we go. TOWERS Towers. Now before I just had, like I said, PC speaker sound out of this. So this is kind of cool that, you know, for the first time I have ad-lib sound now instead of the PC speaker. So up, let's just go old or new game, right? Let's do number 1. Enter. I'm running at a blazing 12 megahertz now. So it, you know, it's still slow, but it's not as slow, you know what I mean? Oh, here we go. One ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. A little bright. Isn't that swell, I say. And you can hear the... Before, when it was a PC, with PC speaker, just beep, 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 beep. Got full sound. Nice. Ha 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 ha. Excellent. So I would say this was a job well done. Tandy RLX with the ad-lib card. I can't wait to play this one, actually. I didn't play because it was a PC speaker sound. It was annoying me. But this is an ad-lib card. I already checked, and the desktop still works with the Tandy sound. So they work together. So you're not going to lose one or the other. It'll work with both. So that is awesome. So have an awesome day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.